When it comes to the most admired woman, Hillary Clinton edges Sarah Palin, followed by Oprah Winfrey at 8%, Michelle Obama at 7%, and then a tie between Condoleezza Rice and Queen Elizabeth, each with 2%.
Welcome back. We want to show you this next soundbite. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is overseas this morning urging Northern Ireland to take the final steps in its peace process. It comes ahead of her visit to Moscow, where Iran's nuclear program will likely take center stage. In an NBC exclusive, Secretary Clinton sat down with Ann Curry over the weekend to discuss her role as the nation's top diplomat.
What do you say to the people who are concerned that you have been marginalized? That the highest ranking woman in the United States having to fight against being marginalized?
I think there is such a, maybe there is some misunderstanding which needs to be clarified. I believe in delegating power. I'm not one of these people who feels like I have to have my face in the, front of the newspaper or on the TV and every moment of the day. I would be irresponsible and negligent were I to say, oh no, everything must come to me. Now maybe that is a woman's thing. Maybe I'm totally secure and feel absolutely no need to go running around in order for people to see what I'm doing. It's just the way I am. My goal is to be a very positive force to implement the kind of changes that I believe are in the best interests of our country. But that doesn't mean that it all has to be me all the time. I like lifting people up.
Washington, fireworks on Capitol Hill today as there are a number of new developments in the release of those Bush-era harsh interrogation tactics that some call torture. First, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton questioned former Vice President Cheney's credibility today when asked if she agreed with his request to declassify some more of those memos.
It won't surprise you that I don't consider him a particularly reliable source of information. And I believe that we ought to get to the bottom of this entire matter.
We also have a history of kind of moving in and out of Pakistan. I mean, let's remember here, the people we are fighting today, we funded 20 years ago. And we did it because we were locked in this struggle with the Soviet Union. They invaded Afghanistan, and we did not want to see them control Central Asia. And we went to work. And it was President Reagan in partnership with the Congress, led by Democrats, who said, you know what, sounds like a pretty good idea. Let's deal with the ISI and the Pakistani military, and let's go recruit these mujahideen. And that's great. Let's get some to come from Saudi Arabia and other places, importing their Wahhabi brand of Islam so that we can go beat the Soviet Union. And guess what? They retreated. They lost billions of dollars, and it led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. So there's a very strong argument, which is, it wasn't a bad investment to end the Soviet Union, but let's be careful what we sow because we will harvest. So we then left Pakistan. We said, okay, fine, you deal with the stingers that we've left all over your country. You deal with the mines that are along the border. And by the way, we don't want to have anything to do with you. In fact, we're sanctioning you.
We worked hard to get the right Russian word. You think we got it?
You get it wrong.
I got it wrong.
It should be Перезагрузка. And this says Перегрузка, which means overcharged.
Well, we won't let you do that to us, I promise.
This morning, I had the chance to meet two women living here in Nairobi because I had to get my hair done. The women in this audience know that. I think they did a good job, too. My hairdos are like the subject of PhD theses, so, I want everybody to know I got a good one in Nairobi.
Clinton that more than 72 hours had passed since the rocket launch by North Korea, and yet still the UN Security Council hadn't responded at all.
One student, Kim Jong-il, concludes that his regime can act with impunity in conducting these kinds of launches.
Let's wait and see the results of the ongoing negotiations at the United Nations. 72 hours is a long time in a news cycle. It's not a long time in relations between nations or in the affairs of the Security Council.
The USS Bainbridge, which pulled into a port in Mombasa, Kenya a short time ago. There's a live look at the ship. The Obama administration attacking pirates by going after what they crave the most, money. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton announced plans to freeze assets belonging to the pirates operating off of the coast of Somalia.
These pirates are criminals. They are armed gangs on the sea, and those plotting attacks must be stopped, and those who have carried them out must be brought to justice. Let me underscore this point. The United States does not make concessions or ransom payments to pirates.
Now, our democracy is still evolving. You know, we had all kinds of problems in some of our past elections, as you might remember. In 2000, our presidential election came down to one state where the brother of the man running for president was the governor of the state. So we have our problems, too.
There were so many things Hillary Clinton hoped to achieve with her trip to Africa. It's more likely it will be forever remembered for one moment.
What does Mr. Clinton think through the mouth of Mrs. Clinton?
Wait, you want me to tell you what my husband thinks? My husband is not the Secretary of State. I am. So you ask my opinion, I will tell you my opinion. I'm not going to be channeling my husband.
And it goes both ways. I'm well aware that there is a trust deficit among many Pakistanis toward my country, and you are well aware that in my country there is a trust deficit toward many Pakistanis. And I guess my message is that that's not the way it should be. But
Secretary Clinton made those comments while visiting Pakistan, a 3-day trip that's taken on a tough love approach. She warmly greeted diplomats and members of the public, touring mosques and shrines and serving food to the poor. But Secretary Clinton did not mince words when confronted by one Pakistani journalist about the recent $2.3 billion in U.S. aid. The money came with a condition that Pakistan's military stop supporting terrorist groups, a provision the journalist called humiliating.
Pakistan doesn't have to take this money. Let me be very clear. You do not have to take this money. And if Pakistan doesn't want the money, we're not going to impose it on you.
And secondly, and so we can have total transparency, you know, as a former lawmaker, we always have definition pages when we write legislation. Definitions do matter. Does the United States definition of the term reproductive health or reproductive services or reproductive rights include abortion? I yield to the distinguished gentleman.
Congressman, I deeply respect your passionate concern and views which you have championed and advocated for over the course of your public career. We obviously have a profound disagreement. When I think about the suffering that I have seen of women around the world, I've been in hospitals in Brazil where half the women were enthusiastically and joyfully greeting new babies, and the other half were fighting for their lives against botched abortions. I've been in African countries where 12 and 13-year-old girls are bearing children. I have been in Asian countries where the denial of family planning consigns women to lives of oppression and hardship. So we have a very fundamental disagreement. And it is my strongly held view that you are entitled to advocate, and everyone who agrees with you should be free to do so anywhere in the world. And so are we. We happen to think that family planning is an important part of women's health, and reproductive health includes access to abortion that I believe should be safe, legal, and rare. I spent a lot of my time trying to bring down the rate of abortions, and it has been my experience that good family planning and good medical care brings down the rate of abortion. Keeping women and men in ignorance and denied the access to services actually increases the rate of abortion. During my time as First Lady, I helped to create the Campaign Against Teenage Pregnancy. And while we were working to provide good information, access to contraception, and decision-making that would enable young women
to protect themselves and say no, the rate of teen pregnancy went down. I'm sad to report that after an administration of 8 years that undid so much of the good work, the rate of teenage pregnancy is going up. So we disagree, and we are now an administration that will protect the rights of women, including their rights to reproductive health care.
She stands and she won't back down.